All right, hello. So I wanted to make a little video about ethics in executive coaching. So if you're a leader looking to hire a professional coach for yourself, or if you're an L&D or HR leader trying to hire a coach for your organization, this video will really make a difference for you, make your life easier. And if you're a professional coach, this will help you change your perspective about ethics and the depth that is needed to coach at a high level of integrity. And I'm assuming that you already know the basics of confidentiality, the ICF code of ethics. So whatever happens in the conversation with the leader, that remains confidential to the extent that it relates to the identity of the leader. Their identity is not revealed. Details about the coaching conversations are not shared to the organization or somebody else who asks the coach without the client's consent. All of that is a given. I'm not going to go into the details about those dilemmas. This is about something much deeper, because working with leaders is what I do every day, every working day. I've been doing this for several years now. And executives form a fairly significant component of the leaders I work with. And a lot of times they're not looking for just a neutral sounding board. Although that is incredibly helpful for them, they also want some kind of a value input from the coach. So it's non-directive coaching, but it is not just asking questions without giving any answers or any point of your perspective. And it is still very much within the ICF code of ethics. And I recollect an incident from a conversation with a recent client. There was a CEO I was talking with, and they were working with a much senior person who's worked in corporate for a few decades and then became a coach. And they got frustrated trying to have a coaching session with that person because they told me that this coach kept asking them what they thought about something. And the client told me, hey, if all you're going to do is ask me what I think, why do I need you? And so they somehow found me and they started working with me. And that highlights some inconsistency in how coaches perceive ethics versus how leaders want coaches to show up in their sessions. What happens is, as coaches, we are trained not to give advice, we are trained to ask questions, but does not mean that we are not sharing our point of view. So when a coaching client asks, hey, this is the situation I'm dealing with, what is it that you think about it? Instead of turning the question back to the client saying, hey, leader, what do you think about it? It's not particularly helpful. So what they're looking for is a sense of foundational understanding about business landscape and also about the human landscape that operates within this business landscape, and bridging that gap to help this leader take a decision that is very aligned with who they are, but also is aligned with the needs that they're facing in their organizational context. So that bridging gap can happen not just through questions. In fact, sometimes just asking questions can keep the leader in a loop. So offering a perspective with the permission or the consent or upon the invitation of that executive becomes very important. And understanding how that fits into ethics is important, because if you do not have a larger understanding of ethics as a coach, and a larger understanding means that ethics is a branch of philosophy. Ethics does not just mean the code of ethics that we pledge to with regards to ICF. And understanding what that branch of philosophy is about is important. But to do that, you also have to understand a couple of other branches of philosophy, because ethics fundamentally asks the question, what is the right thing to do? But that question comes from a larger context of two different questions. These questions are, what is the nature of reality? And how do we know that this is the nature of reality? So, those are two questions that are dealt with other branches of philosophy known as ontology and epistemology. After those are explored enough, then now we know what the nature of reality is. We also know how we know that. Then, what should we do about this? Is the question that ethics tries to answer. So, without a larger contextual understanding of all of this, just trying to stick to an ICF code of ethics becomes like parroting somebody else's understanding of ethics. And that's a very hollow framework to operate from. So, understanding what is the nature of reality at a very foundational human level, and then understanding what is the nature of perception of this reality that creates a particular experience for the leader operating within their contexts. This understanding is something that the coach brings in as a quote unquote expertise at a broader generic level, that then they will use the client's own expertise to specialize into the client's domains and context that they're operating in. And therefore, ethics in executive coaching is much more than preserving confidentiality. It is also helping the executives take the right decisions and helping them take these decisions with the sense of effortlessness and alignment, which is a win win both for them personally and also for the organizations and the people that they are working with. So, ethics becomes more about helping the client make ethical choices as much as it is about the coach making ethical choices in terms of their conversational skills in the coaching session. Now, when you're hiring executive coaches, or if you're a coach working with executives, this is what moves the needle forward. Because imagine you are a high level leader, you have very limited time, you have a lot of things going on your plate, and you're sitting and talking to a coach. And the coach just keeps asking you what you think. That is helpful to an extent as long as you gain clarity about what you're thinking. But then, after you've reached the point of clarity, you have the question, what should I do? And it's not particularly helpful if the coach asks that question back, what do you think you should do? Yeah, sure, I have a particular thought process, but I'm coming to you because I want an external perspective. I want that, not just that safe sounding board, but also somebody who thinks differently, who sees things from a larger perspective than I am able to see and think, because I'm already stuck within the context I'm operating. And that needs to come from the coach. And so, understanding how to navigate that situation without trying to impose it back on the client is part of ethics in executive coaching. So, ethics is also about understanding what is ethical for the leader to do given their context, not just about preserving confidentiality. And so, when you're working with a coach, see if they have this fundamental understanding of the philosophy behind taking right decisions as much as they have an understanding about coaching skills and coaching ethics. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you soon.